I'm dissolving executive session at 7:01, and we are back in open session for the BUHS number 6 meeting for March 4th, 2019. Is there a motion?
I move we accept the recommendation of the administration on a student matter.
Is there a second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay. It passes. So we're going to move to the clerk's report. And the clerk's report starts with approval of the minutes of February 4th. I'm going to assume that everybody got those minutes. And is there a motion?
I move that we approve the minutes of February 4th, 2019.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Is there any additions, deletions, corrections, or changes we need to make to those minutes?
I didn't hear the who seconded.
Rick seconded it, yeah. All right, seeing none, all in favor of approving the minutes? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? No. Okay. Communications, does any board members have any communications they want to share with the board? No, seeing none, okay. Moving on, nothing else under the clerk's report, so recognition of groups or individual visitors. So you're our only visitor, so you want to tell us who you are and why you're here?
Hi, I'm James Alexa. I'm here because I need to get internship hours with a law class with Tessa Anders, and I came here because I thought it was just easier.
Great. Excellent, well, welcome. And if you have any questions along the way, don't hesitate to ask. Excellent, all right. Is there a motion to enter consent agenda?
So moved. Second.
Moved and seconded? Rick and then Ann, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, so let's start with finance, building, and transportation.
Okay. Finance, Building, and Transportation met on February 11th, and we started out approval of some warrants, numbers 1149 through 52 and 1154 through 58 in the amount of $257,171.09. We also approved payrolls for January 4th of $518,179.86 and January 18th of $507,624.74. The primary activity at this meeting was a discussion of the fiscal year 2020 campus improvement plan and a presentation from Chris Sawyer, Athletic Director, and Robert Clark, Facilities Manager, on a feasibility analysis for a turf field to replace the current sod at Nadowich Field. And they reviewed original improvements to Nadowich Field and the surrounding area, and proposed that a turf field will allow much higher utilization of Nadowich Field, allow us to play additional sports that are up to the VPA standard for playing surfaces, provide a place for phys ed classes to utilize, allow spring sports to start earlier, and accommodate the additional sports that we've added over the years, including ultimate frisbee and full-size soccer and field hockey. It will also reduce our reliance on the Famolari or Bobak fields, which the future of that is a little bit uncertain. So we asked that Robert and Chris provide us with some additional information, and basically they will be providing us in the next few days with a summary document identifying the potential types of synthetic turf and the pros and cons of each, and acquisition and maintenance costs, and also listing of the student activities and number of students to be served, just how many people will be using this, which groups, and how often. And we've scheduled, or hope, maybe we haven't got it yet, but Frank is trying to schedule next finance meeting for Thursday, March 14th. And we'll have time hopefully to review that material and make a presentation to the full board on the second meeting of the month, which is, I believe, the 18th.
18th.
And that was the primary item of business at that meeting.
Bob, was there any further discussion in that meeting of the health concerns that were raised
Yes.
when this was presented?
Yes, there was. We asked that question about injuries and health issues, and there's a fair amount of evidence that they've come up with that shows no health-related issues related to synthetic turf. And with a standard that's called a chrome rubber infill, which is probably the most likely way we would propose. So even though there's been stories over the years, but the MRSA issue is apparently, from what we're told, and I've read that elsewhere, is not an issue. And limb injuries are really not been shown to be a result of synthetic turf.
Any other questions for finance, building, or transportation? All right. WSESU Finance Committee.
Has not met. There's a meeting this Thursday, which I cannot make because I'm heading out of town. But it doesn't sound like, am I right?
We'll
Lana?
be approving warrants, payroll. We have one retirement, WSESU retirement.
So I don't, do you think we should get somebody from this board to
It's
fill in
always
for me?
nice to have someone that way they can just report back on anyone else's.
So
What was it?
When is this?
5 or 5:30 on?
that's, I was trying to find, I found the email, but I haven't found the,
I'll see if I can find it.
my phone. I can't seem to download these things.
That's the 7th.
Yes.
Yeah, this Thursday afternoon or evening. Let me see if I can find, because I know I had a fair amount of correspondence back and forth, and I'm just trying to see if I can see, pull it up. Let me go back to my sent file, maybe I can find it there. Sent. Oh, here. 6 p.m. is what I have here.
Is that here?
Yeah,
Well, I could probably do that.
if you could.
Great, thank you.
So desired.
Okay. Planning and policy.
Has not met.
Teacher curriculum committee?
We were going to meet today, but because of the scheduling, I hope we're going to meet the next meeting then, and have 1 or 2 presentations.
We could do 2 if we want to start at 6.
So, I mean, are the other members willing to?
Yeah,
take
that works for me.
Okay. So that'll be on then, let's see if I can get back to my calendar.
The 18th,
The 18th? Okay.
6 p.m. start. 6 p.m. for TCC.
Okay. Good.
Great. BAMS committee.
Has not met.
WRCC.
Has not met.
That's not met, okay. All right. Is there anything else for consent agenda? Okay. Is there a motion to approve consent agenda?
So moved.
Moved. Second?
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? Okay. So moving on to administrative reports. Why don't we start at the way off the far end with Mr. Dunn?
Good, thank you. Just a couple of things at this meeting. First of all, the construction field trip to Florida went very well. Flights were on time. All the kids returned safely, so everything went well. The students actually had a chance to work on 2 homes. One, they were finishing up the interior of a home. They were tiling and grouting, actually for the homeowner, with the homeowner working with them. And another one, they were working from the ground up. They were starting with the walls, sill plate, framing in windows, framing in doors, and by the time they left, they had it ready for the roof to come back. So that trip went very well. And I like to publicly thank construction teacher John D. Mateo for putting that together and giving up his February vacation to do that. So that was great. We had an equipment grant that I wrote and received from the state through the Perkins funds, and I have since purchased a 16-foot box trailer that will be used not only for our programs to haul equipment, but I also purchased equipment for it that will actually use it to go out to our sending schools to give the kids an idea of the career pathways that we offer and the types of equipment that we use. In our sending schools, everything from BUHS and BAMS, including Dummerston, our local schools in WSESU, as well as Hinsdale, Leland Gray, Bellows Falls, and Twin Valley. So that's here on site now, and the equipment is also, some of the equipment is there, just training a staff member on it. And I'm gonna have the trailer wrapped with our logo, a vinyl wrap on it, so it'll look pretty nice and we can use it downtown, strolling of the heifers, down by the retreat, to have the kids put on things, give examples of the things that we do. Also at the career center to give us some more exposure so that they'll know. And also to give those kids in our sending schools that we don't get out to from 8th grade through 10th grade examples of the types of things that we do. So looking forward to that. And I have one retiring teacher I have to let you know about. Sorry to mention, but teacher that's retiring with us at the end of the year, Amy Anthony, our manufacturing engineering teacher. She began her career in 1981. She's been with us for the past 12 years, has submitted her resignation effective at the end of this school year, June 30th, 2019. Amy's done a great job with us. Yeah, I know Bob's familiar with it. I believe she had your son
Yeah,
in
absolutely.
class years ago. So
Very special.
she's looking forward to her retirement. So she gave myself and Lyle a letter in the last week or two. So I asked the board to accept the resignation of Amy Anthony effective at the end of this school year.
I would move to accept the resignation of Amy Anthony with regret.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor? Anything else, Rick?
That's all that I have. Thank you.
All right, let's move up the table to Mr. Perrin.
Okay, so of course this is early March, which means we are deep into wrapping up winter sports. And so we have several teams that are competing in postseason. The cross-country ski team actually finished yesterday and with the state championships. Our boys came in second overall in the state, which is great. We've had a strong program for many years, and so it's good to see that tradition continue. And our ladies came in fifth this year in the state. So we have some nice, young, strong skaters coming up. So for Nordic, things look really great. Girls basketball had a great first playoff game, and then they fell on Saturday evening to St. Johnsbury. So their season has ended. They did a great job. Fun to watch them play. Certainly are not afraid to mix it up with anybody on the court. Boys basketball is also in the playoffs. They'll be playing Burton tomorrow at Burton. I don't know if anybody was at the game Friday. They had a really thrilling victory over Mount Anthony Friday night. It was a lot of fun to watch them with our rivals. Boys ice hockey won their first playoff game on Saturday evening against Hartford, 4-1, and they will move on to travel to Missisquoi. Thank you, for an 8 p.m. Wednesday game. So I can't imagine a worse draw, but I'm really thrilled that they're having a great season. And oddly, that team has no seniors on it. And so they have a great young group coming up. So it's kind of neat to see them play. And the Hartford game was phenomenal to watch. And, on both sides of the puck, Hartford was great as well. I got chided for saying get the ball. So I'm working on that. So in November, an issue of High School Today, which is one of the leading publications for high schools, oddly enough, they came out with an article I draw your attention to on page 26, written by our own Steve Rice. And Steve, you may remember on Valentine's Day last year, it was right, the Parkland shooting happened, and then in the spring concert, they did a wonderful elegy called the American Elegy, and they dedicated the entire performance to the memory of Parkland and the victims of Parkland. It was a great show. It was great to see that Steve actually has gotten some honor and wrote this article in this magazine, so if you get a chance to check that out. As always, we're proud of Steve and the work that he does. In other music news, we have 12 musicians that were accepted into the All-State Music Festival that will take place in Montpelier in May, and they earned that spot on auditions in January, so we're proud of them. And also we have 15 students accepted into Scholastic Art Awards. 5 of those students have received gold keys, and we'll know more as that process goes and the jury of the work goes on. So a lot of things going on at the high school. We're back from break and ready for March. So thank you. Any questions?
Okay. Mr. Lyman.
All right, hi everyone. I have some great news to share. A few really great events recently. We have, probably a lot of you are familiar with a radio show, or perhaps you're not, a radio show that's done weekly by our students. Joe Rivers is one of our social studies teachers, and he's developed a radio show. I think they've been doing it since I was here. And it used to be with 92.7, and they recently switched to 96.7, I believe. Is that right? And Joe, so he meets with students weekly, and they created a partnership with the Brattleboro Historical Society. Joe's the president, and they've made a really nice connection. So his students work in class on gathering historical information about a topic in Brattleboro history, and then they create a presentation and they read it, and Joe records it, and then they publish it on they have a new partnership with 96.7. So their show is on weekly, I think 8:30 on Saturday mornings on 96.7. So it's really great. Bill Holiday kind of contacted WCAX and got them to come down to, Adam Sullivan came down the other day and ran a feature with our students, and it was really great. So they have an article and a video clip up, and I'll put the clip in the notes that I send to you, Sean, but it's about a 2-minute clip, and it's a nice little feature on the program. Our math counts team, which is a upper level math program. Peggy Maxfield teaches it every year, and she gets students who are interested in being a part of a math competition. So this year they went to the regionals and had great success, and now they're going to they won the regionals, so they're going to the state competition. Jake McDermott, a science teacher on Team Draco, and Peggy, they gave up their day. Jake volunteered driving the team with a bus, BAM's bus. 7 students earned a spot in the state competition, 4 for our team that finished first, and 3 that earned spots as individuals. The team was David Burks and Harvey, Trevor Gray, Thomas Hyde, and Evie Keel. And then individuals were Evan Wagner, who was first overall, Abby Carlton, and Priya Kitzmiller. So they'll be up in Randolph this Saturday for the state competition, so it's really great. Good results. They practice weekly and stuff. Our boys basketball team, and I can't think of which, I think it's the purple team. We have 2 teams. They won the Mount Anthony tournament this year. So it was great. Our girls and boys team went up, and the boys took first place, so it was really great. And we have a trophy in the office, so they're very proud of that. A few events coming up. We just participated in the Youth Risk Behavior Survey. This is every 2 years the students do this survey. It used to be pen and paper, and now it's finally computerized, so we'll get the results. It's been like a 2-year wait to get the results, which almost invalidate them to us, but they just took those in PE class, and Lauren Petrie helped coordinate that. Our 8th graders will be participating in NAEP testing on March 7th, National Assessment for Educational Progress. It's a standardized test where we don't get any individual or even school-based result. They go into a national
So a lot of work on our end to organize it. Not a lot of return for us, but we're participating to get national data. On behalf of the greater good. March 8th, we will be, on the 7th, there's a concert for our winter, I think they're calling it the winter concert. I'm confused about the December and March concert. But there's a concert, 7 p.m. on the 7th, and then on the 8th, there will be a highlight performance during the school day for our students, so we're excited about that. On the 12th, we have a presenter. He's a national motivational speaker. His name's Sean Derrick, and that's co-sponsored by the Deerfield Valley Community Partnership. So this is connected to the Choose Snow program, where the kids can get like free passes if they participate in certain things. And so Cindy Hayford helped organize that. We connected. He is there to do the presentations at night, so he's visiting some of the local schools, and we contribute a little bit towards his cost. I'm pretty excited about him. Those presenters have always been good, often substance abuse. I think this one will be focused on social media. And, so pretty excited. Also on the 12th, I'm working out some scheduling glitches. We're hosting a district music festival. And I don't know the details yet on how it's going to look, but I think some elementary kids might be coming to our school too. I gotta figure that out. So that'll be nice. And finally, I have a resignation. He is a full-time para at Oak Grove School, but he has been an assistant director in our BEAMS program. Joe Garrison will be leaving at the end of April, effective April 26th. And it'll be a big loss. He's been kind of a behind-the-scenes worker to make the BEAMS program go very smoothly, and seems to be really liked by the kids. And he drives our bus, so it'll be a big loss. He's going up to work in the state park system. I think Acadia National Park is kind of his dream, so he'll be headed up there soon. So if you know Joe, you see him between now and April 26th. Wish him luck. He will be missed. That's what I have. Any questions?
What's Joe's last name? I'm sorry.
Garrison. Garrison.
Mrs. Holiday.
Yes. We will have a WSESU meeting on March 13th at the Cusick Room. I believe it's at 6 o'clock. You'll get notification of that. It was requested by a few different board chairs. Vernon would like to come and discuss a waiver that they would be putting forth to the state so that we would change the representation at a WSESU level so that if we end up being merged, then the merged board and Vernon wouldn't have the same representation. So Carrie Amadon was one of the people that asked if we could meet and discuss that. So that will be on March 13th. I want to make sure you know that you will probably not have had your reorganizational meeting yet. I would, I don't know that any of you are running opposed. Are any of you running opposed? I don't think any of you are running opposed.
You're the only person that submitted.
You're unopposed.
Right. Anybody from the outlying towns, are they even up for re-election this time? I think it's just Bob.
Okay, I don't think anyone's running against you.
No.
Just write-ins.
Just write-ins. You can eliminate them. So I don't know what you want to do with your voting numbers, if you want to keep it the same for this meeting, and then after the reorganizational meeting, if you want to choose new people, that would be up to you.
What's the feeling of the board?
Well, I'm out of town on the 13th, so that's spring break.
Good with keeping the present.
Yeah.
As you remember.
We'll keep the present, we'll just need to
Yeah,
have
we
a
need
substitute
to
for
substitute
Russ.
for me, yeah.
Is that the same day as the finance committee meeting?
No, the 7th is,
Oh,
that's the
7th,
day we leave and we come back the day after, so. That's news to me. So.
What day of the week is that?
Wednesday.
Oh, I have a staff meeting, sorry. All right, well, if people check their schedules and we can see if we can get somebody to replace Russ for that meeting, that would be great, and otherwise we'll be all set. Yeah, Sean.
As long as we're discussing meeting times and so forth, I won't be here on April 2nd.
Yep, that's next on my list.
Oh, all right. Thank you.
We need to find a replacement for Sean for the April 2 organizational meeting. The advice that I got from Chris Leopold is that Sean would resign for that meeting. We will formally choose someone to replace him. And then when Sean is back, the person that replaces him will resign and we will reappoint Sean.
And that is to the transitional board,
Correct.
assuming that moves forward on April
On
2nd.
April 2nd, correct.
Is anybody that,
I would choose somebody that agrees with me always. Whoever that might
I
be.
was gonna say, who's signing up for that one? Time's not- Yeah, it's 7 o'clock. Is anybody that's not already involved in the transitional board in some way willing to be Sean for one meeting?
I don't think I can because of my
Correct.
Right, yeah. Yeah.
Annie's already on.
And I'm already on
And
it.
you're already on.
So when is that?
Don't everybody
What do I have to
volunteer once.
Well, I disagree with Sean about just about everything in this matter, so I would probably not be an appropriate choice.
No, I was trying to be, that's gonna be a joke.
Yeah. When is that again? I was still
It's
thinking
April
about the
2nd.
13th meeting.
April 2nd at 7
And where is that?
at the gym.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Could you check and make sure we got that?
That would be good.
That'll be nice.
7 o'clock at BUHS gym.
Is that you signing up for that?
Yeah.
Okay, great, excellent.
There you go.
And the last thing, as you know, unfortunately for us, Ray's decided that he's not coming back as a director, so his position has been posted as of Monday. We had 7 applicants on Thursday. The team will be meeting to review the candidate packets. And then on March 14th is the first round of interviews. March 20 will be round 2, and then on March 29th are focus groups. And if some of you could look ahead at your calendars for the 29th, it would be great if we could have a few board members. Annie's representing the board in the earlier rounds, but it's always good to have, and it will need to come to the board as an approval, but it would be good to have a few of you on a focus group on the 29th.
Do you have an idea yet on the time allocation?
It'll depend on how many finalists, right?
Yeah.
So it's usually about an hour finalists, so it could be
Yeah.
2 hours or 3 hours. And then the board would need to hear feedback from the teacher group, from community group, and
Yeah.
make
What time is that likely to start?
8:30, 9 o'clock-ish.
Okay.
Where?
It'll be at the Career Center.
So I had that down to do as long as it wasn't, I probably couldn't commit to the whole day.
No, it shouldn't be. We should be down to just a couple finalists by then.
Now, is that conference room reserved?
Joyce, I've given Joyce all the dates, so
Perfect,
she's,
thanks.
I assume she's, for the 29th, we'll need the conference room and probably CUSIC and maybe one other space as well, so that candidates rotate through each of those focus groups.
I should be available that day too.
Thank you,
Yeah, I can do that also.
thank you. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. There's nobody from student council here. I don't really have a report, so let's move to unfinished business, which is Act 46 discussion. So some of us were in the high school gym last week, and I'm assuming everybody has seen and heard what transpired that night. And we are tabled till April 2nd. I was curious, and I was early voting, so I talked to the Brattleboro town clerk just to be like, do we even have time to conduct an election, assuming that if everything were to move forward on April 2nd with the merged system, said, would we even have time to conduct an election before the end of June? And she said, just barely. If everything goes smoothly on April 2nd, it could, with statute and all that kind of stuff, it could just get squeezed in. So there's that. And I know there's things working in Montpelier through the legislature. The House passed some things which, depending on who you talk to, because I've talked to all three of the Brattleboro reps on the House of Montpelier, or both through email. I've gotten some responses from some, and they were like, well, one thing would let you give another year to implement it, but you still have to implement it. And the other one thing was to not implement it. So it's like, so two things have been given over to the Senate, and the Senate hasn't done anything with them yet. Or if they have, they're working behind the scenes and there's nothing public yet. And then there's still the potential court case, so. Yeah, Sean?
Well, I'm pretty sure if I read the paper article correctly, that it had nothing to do with the 4 towns that were forced to merge on November 30th. It only had to do with Stowe. So that House vote in which just the representatives from Wyndham County voted against it, and 3 additional representatives from another place in the state of Vermont, it was like 10 to 111. So that, that's not a raft.
No, not at all.
Nothing is ever going to come of that. So
It's just yeah.
This afternoon, the judge denied the injunction,
Oh,
the preliminary injunction.
Oh, excellent. I
So
didn't know that.
the case, yeah. Oh, trust me, I know these things instantly. So it does not mean the suit's not going forward, but it also doesn't mean the merger is going forward. I can't tell anybody what's going to happen, and anyone who says they can is wrong. And I don't think that there is the will in our legislature to make a lot of changes, maybe to give an extension, just given how gummed up everything has been. Because we barely have time to move forward at this point. But I think you're right, I don't think that there is a lot of legislative will to do anything about it. There are way more bills sitting there waiting for it.
the crossover is next week, I think, right?
It's a huge number of bills coming out of the House. Val was telling me, it's just overwhelming.
And I invite you all to have a quick look at H488.
Are we still on 46?
Yeah.
So, I would have to say that I was dismayed at that meeting. I just thought, wow, this is a good way to take all the wind out of Sean's sails. I mean, I felt like I'd been run over when I left there, and very discouraged. And I was discouraged from, I was thinking I should speak, but nobody on the dais spoke. Lyle made 2 pretty small comments. Frank was the one that sort of expressed the concern more clearly than anybody else, but he had to have permission to speak. And I just felt like, wow, if you want to time crunch yourself, you couldn't have chosen a better way to do it. Like what you said at the beginning of your presentation. And I didn't hear what you said in terms of what date that we can just barely make. Is it July 1?
Well, from what the Brattleboro Town Clerk told me on Saturday when we were talking was that if everything was to go forward with the merger on April 2nd, which who knows if that's going to, as Ann said, who knows if that's going to happen or what's going to happen. But if that were to move forward, there'd be just enough time with statute to set an election date, get people to get petitions, conduct an election, and get people sworn in before midnight on June 30th. So she said it basically it's a tight turnaround. I'm not quoting her exactly,
Right.
but
And So I think I asked this question before. You know, we've been mandated to unify on July 1. It's the law of the state of Vermont. So we will be out of compliance for a law. And what are the what are the repercussions for that? You know, the state could say, the AOE could say, hey, you know, there'd be financial implications. So I think it's totally untenable. I'm so disgusted. I just think it's a totally untenable situation to be in, totally. And I think it was totally avoidable. I was extremely disappointed. So I won't say any more.
So I have been in touch with our attorney. He has said that there is no precedence for this in state. It's never happened before. There are others that are going to be in the same ballpark as we are, probably not having an approved budget by July 1. In old statute with a supervisory union or with an individual school district, it meant that we can borrow up to 87% of the budget. When working with Frank, if we were to use that statute, even though it doesn't apply to a merged budget situation, we would have enough money to get through the first 5 to 6 months of school. After that, it becomes a little less certain how much we'll be able to spend. But we're looking at lots of different options. Our first priority, of course, is teacher contracts. We wouldn't be able to give out contracts. We would give letters of intent, and we would continue to pay teachers, giving them their step and column increases. Frank is certain for the start of the school year, we'd be fine. And hopefully within the first few months, if not sooner, we would have a budget passed.
When is the next contract and negotiations?
We start negotiations in the fall.
This fall?
Yeah.
Would it not be prudent at this point to warn an emergency meeting to pass the budget we have on the table in case the merger doesn't happen?
I think what we will do is after tomorrow and after we see what the implications are, I'm just hearing this about the no injunction. I don't know what that means. Maybe we have to talk with our attorney again. But yes, I would hope by the meeting on the 18th, I would have some more concrete information. And if our attorney says we should probably have that meeting, then we could set that date.
Sean?
Well, I don't know if it's germane, but I'm really worried about Guilford because of the BAMS agreement. You know, that Guilford is not, and it's in a terrible financial situation now. I went to the school board meeting a couple of weeks ago, and you know they're talking RIFs, program changes. So Guilford it's going to be in trouble. And since I live in the town of Guilford, it's really concerning to me. That's one more thing that I was so disappointed about the delay. When you have a lot of work to do, and you walk out of the room doing nothing, it's like, well, that was helpful. I will be quiet now.
Anything else? So, I mean, we still have a whole bunch of unknowns. Knowing about the injunction that's nice. Thank you, Ann, for letting us know that.
We remain, however, Schrodinger School District.
I'm
Okay,
sorry, what did you say?
We remain Schrodinger School District.
that's right.
All of us are
What about the
Schrodinger
town
School
budgets tomorrow? I mean, are any of them being brought up for approval votes?
Yes, many with amendments that say if we are, depending upon what the court says or the legislature does, if we're found to be a merged district and that is upheld, then the individual town budget will become null and void.
They don't even have all the numbers, do they?
They do not.
And that's,
Yep.
both sides, both ways.
Yeah.
Fiscally irresponsible. It really is.
What was that,
This
Rick?
budget. Fiscally irresponsible. That's why I voted down our budget. I need something solid to vote on, not, well, this is just informational and kick it down the road, let somebody else approve of it. I get it. You need to have something. You gotta pay the bills.
Anything else related to Act 46? So April 2nd there'll be a meeting unless something happens before then, and then it may happen before then, but I don't know. All right, anything else under unfinished business? All right, under new business, there's a Act 250 application.
Yes, and it's actually for the shed. And so.
We're approving our own Act 250 application.
You're going to approve it. The thing that they always want to know is this building going to affect the number of students that are attending the school? Obviously, that's a no. So I would recommend that you approve that I sign this Act 250 request.
So moved.
Second.
Who seconded?
Second.
Any questions? Thoughts on?
You moved it in?
No.
Bob did.
You popped it, okay.
I think it'll attract a few more people over this beautiful shed.
That's
It's
right.
not enough to allow
desirable
us,
out
they can't
there.
handle it, right? They can handle it.
Use it as a classroom.
Children come flocking to us.
The transportation center.
Yes.
All right, all in favor?
Maintenance.
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? None. All right. All right, is there anything else to come before the board tonight under new business? That was the only thing we had listed. Yeah, he introduced himself at the beginning. He's observing for class.
Got it.
Seeing how government works.
Democracy.
Or doesn't.
Or it doesn't, depending on the day.
What meeting we got.
Depending on the day. All right, is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
there being no further business before this board, I move that we adjourn.
Is there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed or abstentions? All right, we are adjourned. See everybody in 2 weeks.